Still I rise. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to Cooling It with the Coaches. I am, as always, your man, Coach Breeze, and I'm flying solo right now. I say solo because I do have a co-host whom most of you do not know. However, that introduction will be made very shortly. But it's your boy. I'm back, and before I get into anything, I just want to thank everybody for, I've been going through a lot this year, and I want to thank y'all for sticking with me, pushing me, and still asking me to be myself and be me. And I feel like I'm finally in a good space where not only can I be that for y'all, but I can be that for me. So here we are, cooling it with the coaches. Now, we here, let's jump straight into it. Let's address the elephant in the room. And I already know I'm finna piss somebody off. But here we go. So today, this morning, July 9th, the Commanders unveiled a new, old, throwback, whatever you want to call it, right? The Commanders have new alternate uniforms, which are basically their Super Bowl era, the traditional white uniform that we saw with the Redskins, with the burgundy helmet, three stripes, the W's on the side instead of the Redskins logo. Actually, that one right there. Um, the helmet is matte; it's not glossy. The jersey and everything else, jersey, pants, socks, look identical to what you saw the Redskins wear for generations. The only difference is that the nameplate on the back looks like it did more so in like the John Riggers and Joe Gibbs era, and then there's no name wording across the chest because the Super Bowl era jerseys did not have it. Now, as your game day drip coordinator, right, I will be remiss. People have already been asking me, but I would be remiss if I did not give you my own opinion. And here's where some of y'all gonna get mad. First question, Breeze, do you like the jerseys? Yes. Like long story short, yes, I like the jerseys. However, I have pretty much from the beginning been against, and I've said this before, taking Commanders logos and just slapping them on Redskins uniforms. So do I like the uniforms? Of course. That's the Redskins uniform that I knew and loved, right? However, I am also part of a very small faction of people who, even prior to name change, rebrand, whatever, I wanted the Redskins to get a fresh look. Not completely go away from what we knew then and what we are now getting back in the white uniforms, the white alternate uniform. But just something different, maybe a modern take on it. And I think when they became the Commanders, they went too far left in redesigning the uniforms and the jerseys, especially the white uniform. But I was part of a small group of people who, at that time of still being the Redskins, wanted them to have a fresh look. And in them becoming the Commanders, I thought we may get that. They just went too far. So, yes, I like the jersey. It does remind me of the past and the childhood and all of that. However, I figured that when they announced that we would be getting a new uniform, if it wasn't doing something to the black uniform, it would be in some form or fashion bringing back a more traditional Redskins looking uniform. But like I said, I like the helmet. The actual helmet looks so much better in real life than like all of the fan mock-ups did. To me, fan mock-ups, I did not like it. Seeing the real helmet, I do like the helmet. I like the uniform. I just, in general, I was against, and still am against, taking Commanders logos and slapping them on Redskins uniforms. I feel like if you are going to be the Commanders need, to an extent, their own identity. Like when they first went into the rebrand, I thought to myself, there are a few things that when you're rebranding an iconic brand, model, whatever, a few things you have to keep just for brand recognition. And with the Commanders, Redskins, whatever, the biggest thing that I felt like you had to keep that could not change was the team colors, burgundy and gold. You cannot be the Commanders and roll out a red and blue uniform. Like, that's just, no, you have to keep something. Most people wanted them to just keep the entire uniform, keep all the aesthetic things of the Redskins, and just go with whatever name, which we obviously now know as the Commanders. And yeah, I've been against it. I felt like the Commanders needed their own identity and so forth and so on. But asking you shall receive. Lots of fans asked for these uniforms and jerseys back. Helmet design back. They got it. We got it. Am I mad at it? Absolutely not. Again, just from the jump, I wanted the Commanders to have their own sort of identity. All right. Now, searching social media, most people will say there was a glaring omission to this uniform rollout. That being, in the pictures, you see Jaden Daniels, you see Jeremy Reeves, you see Bobby Wagner, I've seen Frankie Louvu. One huge omission from these pictures is one Terry McLaurin. Now, I will preface anything I'm about to say by saying that these pictures were likely taken during media day a few weeks ago. If you remember, the whole spear frenzy was going around, and Terry McLaurin was not there for that. It's hard to take pictures for something you are not present for. I don't think it's a big deal. He wasn't there when they took the pictures, therefore he's not in the pictures. But brings up a bigger question. With training camp right around the corner, Terry McLaurin still looking for a new deal, not having a new deal, although under contract for this season, this coming season. What do you do with Terry McLaurin? There's a very simple answer to that. Pay the man. You pay him. Terry McLaurin, outside of Jaden Daniels, has been, for one year of Jaden Daniels, has been the best player here for almost since he's been here. Since what, 2017, 18? If you are the Commanders, I think Terry McLaurin means more to the Washington Commanders and the Washington football franchise than he would to any other team in the National Football League. I would also imagine we probably mean more to Terry outside of maybe his hometown, Indianapolis Colts, which at this point, the Commanders are Terry's team. But pay the man, right? Now, I understand it's not as simple as pay the man. There's a market value, number one. And then when you look at Terry specifically, it's like, okay, do you grade him against people in his class, who the majority of them are several years younger? Do you grade him against people more so closer to his age, who have been in the league longer? And then obviously you have to pay him the market value with the players that he kind of ranks out around, which for most people is somewhere around the back end of the top 10, 7 to 15 range, depending on who you ask where Terry McLaurin ranks out. So it's not as simple as just pay him. Pay him for sure, but you can't just give Terry McLaurin a blank check, right? This is somebody where he's in his 30s now. Most receivers probably get, 2 big contracts. Most elite receivers probably get 2 big contracts in their careers. The first one probably hits around, 24, 25 for most of them. Terry was, 23, 24 when he got drafted. So his first big contract hit at 27, 28 years old. Now he's 30, looking for his second big contract. And most teams will look at it like, okay, if we give you a long-term, big money contract at 30, you're going to be 34, 35 years old. Does he deserve it? Yes, but you got to kind of make it make sense. Because when you're looking at a long-term, big money deal for a player who's already 30, by the time he gets to the end of the contract, he's going to be likely 34 years old, depending on how long you structure the contract for. You're looking at 34, 35 years old, and most teams aren't trying to pay a receiver big money all the way to that age. All right, it's just kind of at that point there will be somebody younger. Hopefully, they've kind of toy with, they drafted Jahan Dotson in hopes that he could be the next up. Obviously, we know that didn't work out. That's a vastly different story. But when you look at Terry, Like Terry McLaurin might be the best person that the Commanders have had in their organization. It's certainly the best one that they've drafted in like literally a generation worth of people. Like probably since like Darryl Green, maybe, like as far as like being just a all around good people person. There are plenty of great football players that fans liked, but as far as just being a genuinely good football player who showed up to work, did his job, went home and enjoyed his free time and his family, and stayed completely out the way. You don't get that. Terry McLaurin is a very old school player in that, and the Commanders have not. The NFL doesn't even have that many players like that nowadays, let alone this franchise has been through so much turmoil and all of that. He says all the right things in the media. He does all the right things in the community, around fans. Like Terry McLaurin is your model citizen as a professional athlete, especially as an NFL wide receiver where everybody is viewed as a diva that does too much and yada, yada, yada. So there are so many layers to trying to pay Terry, but at the end of the day, I look at it as, let's say Terry holds out the as a trade, right? Who do you replace him with? We don't have that player. Even with Deebo Samuel is not that. There's nobody immediately to replace Terry, right? If, knock on wood, if he decides to go, if we have to move on, don't send Terry nowhere. Terry is a lifer as it pertains to this. He should be a lifer as it pertains to this franchise. But just for the sake of conversation, that player is not on the roster. Furthermore, that player is not coming this season unless you get somebody to trade you another top tier receiver for Terry McLaurin, which again, I hate even having that conversation. Long story short, yes, make it make sense, but pay that man. As far as Terry missing time, as long as he's here for week 1 against the New York Giants, enjoy your free time, bro. There's nothing more to be said, in my opinion. Pay him, let him get here when he get here, and let's rock and roll. We have a NFC Championship game to win this coming season, and we have big goals and expectations. We need Terry McLaurin to be a big part of that. Long story short. So, I just had to put that out there to the masses because I missed y'all, and I know some of y'all miss me. So, in closing, moving forward, this is Cooling It with the Coaches. I am the only coach here today. Your game day drip coordinator, Coach Breeze. Very soon. I'll see y'all next time.